I'm here. I'm just waiting for 7 o'clock because we have about 30 seconds. And then when it does go live, it will be a little bit because I want to make sure people have time to get on the live. Hopefully by the time all that happens, my air conditioner will turn off. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Moderation helps everyone feel safe to build positive chat. Hello, everybody. That. All right. So. Let me let everyone know, please watch in YouTube to comment during the live stream. The beginning of a live is always so awkward. I wish it wasn't that way. But it is. Yeah, I was afraid the lighting was going to be an issue. There's going to be some shadowing, but there's not much we can do about it. It's getting dark out. Not dark, but like the sun's behind the studio. And doing the overhead lights, then I'll have a big shadow where my phone is, so I have a light over here to the left. Hopefully that's going to work. Hello, Chris. Yeah, long time no see. Aura, Stephanie, Beth, Christine, Amy, Akshay, Jody, Renee, Beth, and Jane. Hello and welcome, everybody. From Florida and Georgia and Ohio. I love it. Wisconsin. Yay. Hello, friends. Micah, hello. Hello, Susan and Glenda. Massachusetts. Ah, this is so exciting. I'm so excited to do this tutorial. I'm going to lock this thing down. So, my overhead thing here that's holding my phone, it's not the best contraption, and every time I bump the table it jiggles, so I'm going to do my best not to do that. If we find it's a problem, I can always move my table and then I can put this on something else, but let's just hope this, look at how jiggly it is. Oh well, let's hope it's not a problem. What's everyone doing? How's your day going? How's your week going so far? Hello, Sylvia, Shelly, Clifton Queen, hello, Ashley, Cindy, and Debbie. So I have my laptop here where I can see comments, and I will be able to see if the table is jiggling too much. And if it is, I will change that around because we can't have that. That'll be super annoying. And I never even thought of that when I took all the time to set this up. Let me know if you can see and hear everything good. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Cindy. Okay. So yeah, make sure you are watching over in YouTube. If you are on a live stream watching in Patreon and commenting in Patreon, I will not see your comment. So what you want to do is if you click on the video in Patreon, down at the bottom on the little bar at the bottom, it says YouTube. Click on YouTube. It will take you over into YouTube to watch the video, and then you can comment with everybody. Is there sound? I can't hear anything. Uh-oh. So can everybody hear, or is it, okay, so Sylvia, check your device and make sure your volume is up. You sent this kids back to school today, Amy. The Pink Stitchers, hello. We spent the day stitching at primitive gatherings. Ah, lucky ducks. Lucky ducks. I look great. Thank you so much. That's so funny. All right. So everyone can hear. The sound is great. So that means that if you can't hear me, then you need to turn up your volume. But if you can't hear me, you can't hear me say that. But if you're watching all the comments, you can see that everyone else can hear it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in, because if people come in late, they can always rewatch the recording and get caught up. So let's go over supplies. What you need, and there's a variety of things. You know, you're not going to need all of these things that I show you. You're going to find what works for you. You'll probably hear me say that several times, because we all work differently, just like with cross stitch. I know probably 100% of you on this live stream are cross stitchers, and you know that you work differently than your friend, or you find what works for you. You're going to do the same with punch needle. Okay. But I'm going to give you the basics that will work across the board. All right, so right now there are 2 needles that I recommend. This is the Ultra Punch. The Old Tattered Flag is the manufacturer of this needle. This is the most popular needle out there. It comes with this booklet, and it has so much great information. It tells you, all the different parts of your needle. It says how to change the tip, which I will show you in the video, because it's always easier to see something done than to try to read it and look at illustrations. Shows about threading the needle, transferring your pattern, talks about fabrics, using a hoop. Teeny just always has to be in part of my videos anymore. Talks about how to use the needle, the setting indicator. I'll go over all that with you as well. Yeah, just it's a pretty thorough book, as you can see. Okay. And now you can buy just the small needle, you can buy just the medium or just the large needle. But I sell in my Etsy shop everything pretty much that I'm going to talk about. I sell in my Etsy shop. So this is out of stock right now, though, but I have them on order and they ship today. So this Ultra Punch, I sell it in the set where you get all 3 needles. Okay. And I do that because, again, I want whoever purchases the needle from me, I want them to have the full effect of, because the price is so right that why not have all 3 needles? And then you'll find out what needle size you like. Okay. So when you get your Ultra Punch, it comes with the medium needle already in it. So with the medium needle, you can punch 2 strands and 3 strands of floss if you're using DMC, Classic Colorworks, or Weeks Dye Works. I do 3 strands. I've been punching forever. I think it's been 18 years now. And I've always used 3 strands. Weeks Dye Works, you'll see a lot of my patterns are Weeks Dye Works and DMC. Then I got into doing some, Valdani threads as well. And we'll go over the different threads and why I like to use what I like to use. Okay, so they have the 3 needle sizes. I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit of that. For the, let me see. The small needle is what you would use if you're using like just 1 strand and you want fine detail. And I even have some examples because I did a punch needle test on my floss tube channel. And I did punching with 1 strand, punching with 3 strands, and punching with 6 strands. And I have those here to show you. And then also you can punch with other things, other kinds of threads, not just cotton embroidery floss. You can use pearl cotton, you can use Krynic, you can use thin yarn. So obviously if you're using a thin yarn, you would use the large needle. You can try different things and play around with it. I thought they went over in detail of the different threads you could use, but I'm not seeing it in here. So like I said, it comes with a medium tip. If you're going to be a puncher like me, then you'll just keep that medium tip in there. You can buy, like if let's say you drop this and it lands straight down like on cement or on a wood floor, maybe something like that. Like if you're in your basement and it's got a cement floor, anyways, if you damage your needle, you can purchase these needles separate. I do not offer them separate in my Etsy shop. I probably should, at least for the medium tip. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to change it if you decide, let's say you have a design that you just need to whip it out quick, and it's long as there's not a lot of fine detail in it, you could use 6 strands and you can get it done quicker. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. This is the frustrating part, because also for me to show this to you, there's also a delay. So I'm trying to see what I'm showing you by looking at my laptop, but there's such a delay. So sorry for all of that. It's always easier to do pre-recorded videos. So there's a little pin in there. Can you see it moving? Okay, it's spring loaded. So you just take it and you just follow the little maze until it comes all the way out, just like that. And then there's a little spring in there. Now notice this spring it's tapered. Let's see, maybe it'll be easier to see it this way. See how this spring is tapered at this end? You use that tapered one for the medium and for the small needle. If you use the large needle, they give you another spring, and it's the same width all the way down. Okay, so that's for the large needle. So maybe I should keep this here. Maybe this white down here will be good. All right, so to change the needle, you can see it's kind of got some ridges on it so that you can grip it. You just turn it and it comes off. Okay, and you can see it's like a key. I'm actually not going to change the needle. I'm just showing you how you can. Okay, because I don't want to put a different needle in there and then I go to use it and think it's the medium and it's not. Can you see this okay? Please say yes if you can see it okay. It looks like it's just really dark. I might try the overhead lights and just see what happens. Let's see what that does. Oh my gosh, this dog. She's on my last nerve. You know what? It's kind of funny because in my punch needle tutorial that I have, she barks in that too. So annoying. Okay, I think that's better. You can see a little bit better now. Okay, so anyways, you just put it in and then you turn it and it's locked in there. And then you take your tapered spring and just make sure that needle is coming out the center, because if it comes out the side, it's not going to work properly. Okay, so we have it like this. I locked the door too, of course. He said he was going to his friend's house, so I just wanted to lock it. Okay, so you just go back through the maze, you go over and you push it down. Now it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. So see I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. So I always put mine on 1. I always put it on 1. And I'm going to show you the Smart Punch. Same thing. I put it on 1 because I like the pile. I like my loops on the finished side to be shorter. I just prefer that look. You can put it on a 2. You can put it on a 3. You can make dimensional work and change, like maybe you want the house to stand out and some of the trees to come forward. You can put them on a higher loop, higher number, so that they have a longer loop and then they would stand out more than the others. I mean, you can play around with it. So I always use mine on a 1. But let me show you what a 12 looks like. So look at this needle. It's maybe what, a 1/2 inch. Look at it on a 12. Look at that baby. That's like an inch and a quarter or an inch and a half long. Can you imagine how much floss you would use if you had it set to that? So again, what that does is makes pile, the pile or the loops on the other side makes them taller. So as you can see, I like mine about that height. And that's on a 1. So imagine what a 12 would look like. Okay. So that is, I'm not going to show you how to thread it because threading the Smart Punch is the exact same thing. So why show you twice? They use the same threader and it's all good. But anyways, like I said, this was the punch needle that I learned with. It used to be called the Cameo, and then they sold the business to Old Tattered Flag, and they now manufacture this needle. And this is the most popular needle that there is. When you get it, you get 2 needle threaders. I would recommend purchasing extra threaders at the time that you purchase your punch needle because they do tend to disappear once in a while. But it's just, I mean, when you go to sit down for a project, if you don't have a threader, I mean, it's like you just want to scream. So it's just good to have extra ones on hand. Now, I'm going to show you the Smart Punch. Actually, I'm going to go get a new one so that you can see the box and everything that it comes in. Hold please. No, you stay over there. Sorry. Okay. Oh, and as far as you guys asking me questions, I will take breaks every so often and look back through questions. So like I'm going to go over both the needles and then I will pause and we'll go over questions and then I'll do something else and then we'll pause and go over questions. So if you are asking me questions and right now, I'm probably not going to see it. So maybe get a pen and, some paper and write down your thoughts so that you don't forget and then ask them when I do take the breaks. Okay. So when you get the Smart Punch, this is what it comes like, how it comes. It comes in this nice little box with this nice tissue paper. You get the needle. You get an extra needle tip, but it is the same size. They only offer one size. One size fits all for them. You get 1 threader, and then you get instructions. You can use this box to store it in and throw, I think that's probably why they made it like this, I'm guessing, so that you can just throw this in your bag, your punch needle bag or whatever you keep your needlework in. Again, theirs comes with instructions, not quite as detailed. Okay, so as I'm talking, I do want to go over some parts of the needle just because it will make it easier. It comes with this little rubber deal on it. So I tend to keep those just in case you want to put it on while you're traveling or something like that. Okay, so again, their design is very similar. They only go up to size 5. 1 through 5. I will always use it as a 1 on the 1 anyways. Again, theirs is the same way as far as it coming out. So if you go straight, that's how you're going to want to store your punch needle when you're done with it, because what it does, it keeps the needle in there, but it's tucked up in there so it doesn't get worn out or dull. Again, same thing. You bring it out. It's got the tapered spring, and it goes in the same way. So that part of these needles are pretty much identical. Again, make sure your needle goes through the center of that spring. You kind of have to hold it as you're putting it in because it will move on you. But on this one, the only reason you would need to change it is if you damaged this one and you needed to put a new one on. So just keep this in your box or whatever it is that you are going to store yours in. And then the threader is pretty much the same as well. So basically the biggest difference between this needle and the Ultra Punch is the shape. So one of the biggest things to remember, or one of the hardest things to remember, I think, for people that are just starting, is how do you hold your needle? Well, that is what Rita of Quilter Station, she's the one that designed this needle. And it's fairly new. I mean, she just started selling it a few months ago. So it's brand new. And what she did is she made it more ergonomical, and she put a little indentation where your thumb goes. I don't know how well you can see that indentation, but that's where your thumb goes. And it's funny because I find myself holding it up higher anyways, but even without the thumb indentation, you're pretty much going to hold it this way, because holding it this way would be weird. It wouldn't be easy. So she took the guesswork out, basically, of how to hold the needle by doing it this way. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to get into threading it quite yet. I want to go over the other supplies that you need. Yeah, because there's something I want to show you. So I'm going to actually just put my Smart Punch aside. I thought they said on theirs, it might be on their website. Let me just real quick go through this. And they talk about the needle. Okay, right here. It says the Smart Punch comes with a medium-sized needle, which is the most commonly used needle. It will accommodate 6 strands of floss, 2 strands of 12-weight pearl cotton, or 1 strand of size 8 pearl cotton. Refer to your pattern to determine the threads used. Okay. All right, and we're going to go over threads. We're going to go over all that stuff as we go along. This is going to be rather long, a long video. So if you can't watch the whole thing, the replay will be available. Let me move these out of the way. Okay. So besides your needle, you're going to need something to put your weaver's cloth on. So when I first started, I always used the Morgan no slip hoop, but I'm telling you, it ends up slipping. And when your fabric is not drum tight, it makes punching pretty much impossible if you want it to look good. However, a lot of people still use the Morgan hoop. So this is, I think, the 9 or 10-inch hoop. They do have one that I do not have. I've never owned it, but it has a big hoop at the bottom, and then it's got these like legs, 3 or 4 legs that come up, and there's a small hoop on the top where you would actually put your piece that you're working on, and it's a lap stand. That way this can sit in your lap, and then you can work on it, because if you put your hoop right on your legs, you're going to stab yourself, and that is no fun. But like I said, I'm going to tell you, and I want to be honest, completely honest with you. I'm not dissing anyone's products here. I'm just trying to be truthful so that you have the best experience possible. But these will ultimately, as you're working, you'll have to keep retightening them. And then as I turn this, I remember I stripped one of them out because I turned it so hard, I could never get it tight again. So I had to pitch the hoop. So this is, it's not a horrible way to do it, because listen, this is how I did it for many, many years. Probably 10 years I used a Morgan hoop. So I survived, and I did a lot of punching. So it's not a horrible way to go. But I discovered a really inexpensive, surefire way to go. Well, let me tell you about these two. Then there's these gripper frames. Now these, I actually have one, a floor stand that I purchased when I started doing rug hooking. They were made for rug hooking originally, but you can do punch needle on them. It's more for if you have like a large piece that you're going to punch, because the opening is pretty big. So if you don't have a large enough weaver's cloth, it might not even hook onto these. This one is Not Forgotten Farm for 138. I know that Lori's husband makes these. Oh, it doesn't say. It probably does say on, this is from their Etsy shop. It probably says what that opening is, but I don't know what it is. And then the Old Tattered Flag, who are the manufacturers for the Ultra Punch, they also have one on their website for $90. So the only thing I can say with these, number one, make sure you have a big enough weaver's cloth to fit on something like that. Number two, I tend to rest my arm on my project, and these will tear the, you know what, out of your arm, but you can get covers, gripper frame covers or something like that. They're made out of, fabric, and it just helps protect your arm. So that's the second option. So we have the Morgan no slip hoop. We have this gripper type frame. And then we have what I use, and I'll show you my project that's on it. So here is a project I'm working on. And these are artist stretcher bars. This is 11 by 14. And that fits, look how big this is. This is a pretty big piece. It fits pretty big pieces, but you can get, what's nice about the artist stretcher bars is they're inexpensive and you can buy them in different sizes. I have a 12 by 16, I have an 8 by 10, and I have 3 or 4 11 by 14s. So I usually get them on Amazon, and the brand that I was using was called Masterpiece. Well, I was at Hobby Lobby on Monday, and I found these doggone dirt cheap right here. So I bought 2 11s and 2 14s to make an 11 by 14 frame. I want to show you how to make this right now. So look at this, 99 cents. We have $2 here, $1.50, $1.50. We have $3 here. For $5, you can have a frame. That's cheaper than the Morgan hoop. That's cheaper than anything that you're going to be able to put your punch needle on. There's a little work up front getting it put together, but it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to show you how to do it. What's nice about having a frame that's inexpensive like that is that you can have several of them laying around and have several projects going and not spend a fortune. So this is like tongue and groove, basically. Watch this not go together easy while I'm live, of course. You kind of have to, now, okay. So you kind of have to use a little muscle. It's like, what was that exercise? I must build my bust or something like that. Do you guys remember that? Or am I losing it? Here, let's do that a little bit. Anyways, you're kind of pressing together and just keep wiggling back and forth until you get them together. Now, they don't have to line up perfectly. As you can see, mine didn't. But that part doesn't matter because we're not actually stretching canvas on it. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. That is like the least of my worries at this point, right? So, just make sure you've got it going the right way. And then again, we're going to just weasel this on, shimmy it on, weasel it on. I don't know what word to use. Getting it started is the hardest part. If you have a strong husband or son that can help you with this, maybe I was buying the Masterpiece because it was a better quality, because this is not wanting to go together. This piece is broke. I mean, that old saying, you pay for what you get. No, how does that go? You get what you pay for. There it is. These are very inexpensive, so maybe they're not going to be as good. Holy Toledo. I'm getting it, though. Okay. I'm going to need a new bra size after this. Okay. Oh, Pam, that's great. Pam S. said, I replaced the wing nut on all of my Morgan hoops with a regular nut, and I use a wrench to tighten it. Since I've done that, I haven't had any issues with slippage. So that is a great tip. Well, anyway, you don't really need to watch me put this whole thing together because I'm wasting your time. But anyway, so here's what I do once I get it put together. No need to keep going. I use one of these heavy duty staplers and I staple them together. Whoopsie. I obviously did it on the other side on these ones. And I just put a couple of them in each corner just to keep them from moving. But as you can see how tight I put that together, they're not going anywhere. But I do staple them just to make sure that they're not going anywhere. Then once I have it put together, I lay my traced piece on. First, you have to trace your piece on there. And then I just use a regular stapler like this. And I just, bam, I do the centers, pull them and do the centers first. And then I just keep pulling. And as you're pulling and stapling, watch your piece, because especially on a square piece, you'll see if you've pulled it too much one way or another. Like if you pull it too tight, you're going to have a dip like this. And then you can just pull it and get that staple out of there and then readjust it and staple it in again. So when you first start, you're pulling it kind of tight on all four centers, and then you pull it and you staple it all along. Now I use a lot of staples, but look how tight that is, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going to loosen on you. I love it. So that's how I do it. Again, you'll find what works for you. And then taking these off is super simple. I just pull them. I mean, I wouldn't yank a whole bunch of them out. I just pull them one at a time out. Sometimes they come out and then you just take them off the fabric. Sometimes only one side will come out and you just use some little pliers and you pull them out of the thing. No big deal. All right, I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions. Let me back up and see what we have here. Oh, that's good. Pam said, I love the Smart Punch. It's so much gentler on my arthritis. Vana has a tool that you can slip over the wing nut to give you more leverage to really get that nut tight. Good to know. Denise, hello. I replaced the wing nut. Already saw that. Okay. Can you explain how you trace your pattern on the fabric? Yes, I will do that. You could also use stretcher bars that needle workers use. I don't know what those are though. Hello from me. Let's see, any other? Yeah, the overhead light did help. Okay. Oh, sorry that Teeny made your dogs bark. I think Kevin left the building, so I can let her back over here now. Okay, I think we're all set. Come on, Boo. Oh, I thought it was your dad that was over here.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know you were, I thought it was.
I'm doing a live video.
Doing a video? Yeah, my bad.
No, it's no big deal. I just thought it was dad. All right. Kyle came back to work. Okay, so moving right along. So different designers do things differently. Okay. We, many years ago, used to supply the image already stamped. My mom used to hand stamp them, you guys. This was back in the day. I would have rubber stamps made of them. I know in one of the live videos I showed you guys a bunch of rubber stamps. Well, those were all my punch needle designs. And well, not all of them were punch needle. I used to sell rubber stamps too, just primitive. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But we used to hand stamp them on. Then I found a company local because I needed somebody local to do this. I decided that this rubber stamping, it was a mess. The ink would get everywhere. It was getting hard on my mom to do. No one else had time to do it. So I found a local screen printer to do it. I supplied the files. They're just, black and white line drawings. And I supplied all the weaver's cloth pre-cut, and they just had to screen print it on. Well, I was small potatoes for them. So they used to charge me I think it was $1 to screen print it on. And we ended up having a lot of problems with them because, number one, I think they were just irritated that they had to even do it because they doubled the price after the first year of working with them. Also, because we were small potatoes to them, because, they were screen printer for the Davison schools and sports teams. They're doing thousands of dollars and the big jobs and stuff. So our job always got put to the back. They didn't do it necessarily in order of when they got it. They couldn't have because it took forever to get my orders. And then we had orders waiting on it. It was a darn nightmare. So I talked to my stores and I said, I'm probably going to quit having the image on there and people have to trace it on. And she said, well, a lot of the people said, oh, well, a lot of designers do it that way. So I'm like, okay. So that's what I started to do. So then we went from having the image on the weaver's cloth to just putting the weaver's cloth in there. Then COVID hit and we had so much trouble getting weaver's cloth. We used 3 different places. I would order bolts of it on Amazon, and then they ran out. I found another company that would do it, but their shipping was real slow. I mean, it was a nightmare. We were getting orders, and so we were taking weaver's cloth that was already packaged into a punch needle pattern and pulling them out and putting them in just so we could fill orders. And so finally I said, that's it. We're not even going to put the weaver's cloth in there. We can sell it separate on Etsy and they can purchase it that way. A lot of stores, if you do have an LNS that sells punch needle, ask them because a lot of them carry bolts of weaver's cloth and they will pre-cut it for you. So check with your LNS. On my Etsy shop, I sell the size I showed you here, the size here. It's like a 13 by 15. If you're doing a small piece, you can get 3 or 4 on a piece like this size. Or it's good for a big piece. So we sell them, I think it's $2 a piece. And it just alleviated the stress of trying to keep that in stock during the pandemic. Now, maybe it's come back, but I'm not changing it again. I'm not going back to that. So as you can see, we had to go through and white out or black out weaver's cloth on all of our patterns, which was a nightmare, but it took a little bit. So on a pattern, typically it's going to tell you what is inside of the pattern. It's going to tell you all the materials that are needed. Now this is such an old one that it says the Cameo punch needle. It's now called the Ultra punch needle. Doesn't even mention the Smart punch because, like I said, this is old. And it will tell you what embroidery floss that you need to make this design. It tells you how many skeins you need. Also, here is a DNC equivalent to the weeks. Okay. So, and then also in mine, now different designers do it different ways. Some designers will have, like, let's say this says 3910. Inside here, it will say 3910 and it will list out everything that you punch. Like there won't be an image. It'll list out everything that has to be punched using 3910. Where I'm a more visual person, so I have the image in here. And then I have numbers pointing to everything that, where all of your colors go. It's also great to keep your cover nearby because if you get a little confused, a lot of times you can look at the cover and go, oh, well, that's this color. Okay, so always have your color cover nearby as well as your little directions here. Okay, so the way mine is packaged, you will have, oh, and then you also get with mine instructions on how to trace your paper pattern to the weaver's cloth, and then you get the full-size image there. And this is a small one, but sometimes the images are big and I can't put that big of an image here, you know, with all the numbers on it and stuff. So that's why there's a separate sheet here, and it also explains how to trace. So mine is packaged so that all of your floss and everything's listed on the back, so you don't have to open the package up to find that out. Okay, now to trace your pattern. If you don't have a light box or one of these LED light, I don't know what they're called, a light, I still call it a light box because that's old school, I guess. But if you don't have one of those, you can just tape it to a window. I did that for a long time. And let me get this back out. So this is all you need. Just need some Scotch tape. Like on this one, I would put it up in the corner so I could do more than one. Tape. Also, keep in mind you are working from the back of your project, and your finished piece, you're not looking at the finished product as you're punching, because you're working from the back. So if there's any words or numbers, they will be backwards when you go to do your tracing. You can trace with a ballpoint pen if that's all you have. If you can't find a marker or something, you can just use a ballpoint pen. I'll show you what I like to use here in a minute. If you're going to use a marker, make sure, you know, it's a fine tip. Oh, God, you can't even see that. It's still blown out. I don't know if that helps or not. That doesn't really help. So anyway, you just trace it. Okay, so let me turn that other light back on. I'm not going to trace the whole thing because I'm not actually going to be using that piece for the demo tonight. So this is a micron, Pigma micron. The size of this one is a 08. It says it right here, and it also says it here. Another one I like is these Arteza. This is a number, oh, this is a small brush. This one's really nice too. Yeah, so either one of those works. Even a Sharpie extra fine point marker will work. It's very simple. Okay, so that's all you do for that, okay? Probably finish tracing that and put it back in the pattern. Somebody will be surprised when they, no, actually, I think maybe I'll just do a little giveaway for you guys. Oh, before I forget, I want you to write something down. So I have a Punchneedle tutorial. It's $37, and you get, I forget, like, I think 5 downloadable PDFs to do Punchneedle. And I'm going to give you this discount code so that you can get $37 off. So basically you're going to get it for free. There might be a little tidbit or something in there that I forgot to mention, you know, so it never hurts. Also, Vanna Pfeiffer has a great tutorial. You know, if you go to YouTube and search, you know, how to do punch needle embroidery, you'll find other people that have tutorials. And everyone, you know, if something is not working for you, maybe I taught you a way that is not working for you, but you find you like someone else's way better. So by all means. So did you get this? Whimsy Punch, all caps. I think it only types in all caps anyway. So today through, I think it's actually through Saturday at midnight. But anyway, by this Friday, go to, I guess I should put in what it is. The website. I should write that down too, huh? What is it? Let me just double check what it is. www. Oh no. Oh, maybe it's this. All right. Gather, dream, create.com/punch toot for tutorial. gatherdreamcreate.com/punch toot TUTE. I'm not going to post this in Patreon. Basically, it's only available to people that watch this video. Okay. And what will happen is when you put that in, it will take you to my Kajabi website where I have all kinds of tutorials. It's going to take you right directly to the Fun with Punch Needle class. It says $37, hit purchase offer. Just make sure you put in Whimsy Punch at checkout and it will take $37 off. Right there, I'm doing it right now. So it says coupon code. There's a little box on the right-hand side and you're going to put in Whimsy Punch and put in your email, or if you already have an account with me, just sign into Kajabi and you'll get that for free and you can watch that at any time you want as well. Any questions thus far? Okay. The snowman pattern is called Snowman. He is, he is available in our Etsy shop. PN005 Snowman. He's so tiny and cute. It's 3 inches by 2.75, 2 3/4 inches. So almost square. I missed the fabric part. What kind and where to purchase? So it's called weaver's cloth. You know, you can punch on other things, but weaver's cloth is a cotton polyester blend, and it's very strong and very tight, a tight weave. If you're punching on something that isn't a tight weave, your loops are not going to stay. I have not tried punching on other things. I know people have punched on different fabrics, but since I haven't done it, I can't speak to it. So I'm only teaching you what I know. Okay. You might be able to find that on YouTube as well. Let's see. I do a lot of punch needle. Pam does a lot of punch needle. She purchases her weaver's cloth by the yard. There's a lot of shops on Etsy where you can purchase it. Is it? It's in my Etsy shop. No, that is in my Etsy shop. So all of my paper patterns, my physical patterns that we mail, all of those kind of items are in my Etsy shop. The only thing that's in the secret shop are the PDF past Patreon PDF charts, and then like products that third parties make and direct ship to you. That's all that I have in that secret shop right now. Yeah, I don't have any of my physical patterns in there, and I don't ever plan on putting them in there either. You are welcome, Carol. I tried to put the coupon code in and it says invalid. I tried caps and no caps with space and no space. What? Okay, let me go in and just check this out. Offers, coupons. Whimsy Punch, $37 off, duration, expiration August 26, 2023. Whimsy Punch, WHIMSY, and then punch. No spaces, and Whimsy's with a Y. I wonder if it's because it's the amount of the class. Maybe they're thinking that something's wrong with it. Discount link. Been copied to my clipboard. What does that mean? Let me just try something. Let's see if that worked. All right, so I just put in the comments. Huh. I don't know if I can do it because it's my business. I don't know that they'll let me. I could do it with Kevin's. Oh crap, I didn't hit apply. Apply. Ooh, it does say invalid. You know what? I think it's because I have it at the same amount as the class. So let me go edit this. Oh, I can't edit it. I have to change it or I have to delete it. Are you kidding me? All right. I can't believe you can't edit the coupon. All right, guys, I'm sorry this is not part of the class. I'm going to delete that coupon. I'm going to make a new coupon code, single coupon. Whimsy _ punch. And then amount off. So I'm going to make it 30. I'm going to try something, $36.99 US dollar. And then the expiration date, we shall make it the 26th. Continue. All right, so you might have to pay a penny for it. So now it's Whimsy _ punch. Copy that. I'm sorry, guys, this was not supposed to be part of. Done. Or I'm going to try it again. I'm so sorry. Why does this crap have to happen when it's live? All right, I'm going to put another one in there. Apply. Well, it still says invalid coupon. I don't know what to do. Let me go back because I just noticed that I have under my coupons. I gave you guys in Patreon 100% off coupon, and it's a forever coupon. So let's try this one. Whimsy's Punch. Now that one, if it works, I will give you that one. Oh my Lord, this was not supposed to happen. Okay, I got it. I'm going to give it to you right now. So sorry. Whimsy's Punch. This is 100% off. So I did 100% off instead of a dollar amount on that one, and that's probably why. So I'm going to get this discount link. I'm going to go back in here and put this one in. Okay, that last one I just put. Yep, okay. That last link I put in there will work. I forgot I did that. I had given the Whimsies a coupon code probably a year ago that everybody could, have it for free. So that was a huge waste of time. I am so sorry. Now I feel so distracted and off track. Okay, so we went over that. Let's see, pattern. I showed that. Weaver's cloth. I talked about weaver's cloth. Embroidery scissors. You just need little scissors like you use with your cross stitch. However, I love these little pouches. I have these little pouches. God, I think they are. I'll have to look and see if these are in the secret shop. My favorite are these curved ones because you can get really close to the surface to cut all those little threads off on the finished side of your project. I also like to use a needle minder. These threaders, they tend to just jump off your lap. I don't know what the deal is with them, but and they're not real, like there's not a lot of metal there for it to really stick on this side of your needle minder. But if you use your needle minder on the other side, it sticks. It's a lot better that way. So that's just a tip to kind of help you keep track of your threader. All right, now we're going to thread. Let's get this thing going here. I always keep all the things I need in there, including chapstick. I don't need this anymore either. Okay. Now we are going to thread. I have my Smart Punch ready to go. So the parts of the needle that you need to be aware of is, like, this is the shaft. I'm not sure what they call it, but it's the shaft is hollow. This part right here is hollow all the way down to the needle, okay? The back side of your needle is the flat part of your needle. That's considered the back. This is the beveled side, okay? When it comes to threading, those things aren't as important to know, but it will matter when you start punching. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this threader. It might help if I actually get some thread ready. I was going to talk about different threads too. We can talk about that in a little bit. Let's just talk about how we thread our needle first. So let's see. Do 433. I'm going to do this little viney thing because it's nice and long, and I can get some legs on that. So this is DMC. I hold it with my fingertips, and then I pull it. I mean, it's long. It's as long as I can get it because I don't want to thread it any more than I have to. It's not like cross stitch where you're pulling it through the fabric a lot and it starts fraying or it will shred or anything. It's not like that. You're using it as it's going through. So you can have a nice long piece. It doesn't knot like when you do cross stitch. So because I am using 3 strands, I have to separate this. So I basically just let it hang down and just pull it like this. And long as it's hanging down straight down, it's going to be fine. It's not going to tangle up on you or anything like that. Okay. So you go. That's simple. All right. So I got my threader. I'm going to go up through the needle until your threader comes out the other side of it, the other end of it. You're going to put it through the opening. I'm hoping you can see this. Put it through the opening. And then there's a little twist at the end of your threader. That is to help hold your thread so it doesn't fall back through. So see how it's holding there now? Then you're going to pull it through. Okay. Then you take that off the threader. Now this is where knowing the back side of your needle is important. So the back side again is the flat side. There is a hole in there. You're going to go in through the back side with your threader. Again, feed your floss through the threader. I'm hoping you can see this. Pull it so that it's held there and then go back through. So what is happening is that your floss is going down, all the way down through the shaft, coming out the needle. It comes out the needle and goes out the back of the needle. If you have it the other way, it will not punch right. So if you go to punch and something's not working right, take a look at how you have it threaded. I usually pull it so that I don't waste a whole lot of thread at the end, maybe like a ½ inch or so. Okay, now you're ready to punch. Here's the thing. I normally, after I'm done talking about all of the things, I'm going to then switch the camera so that you can see how I sit. So you can see my posture as I punch, because I think that's important, because I don't normally stand to do punch needle. So this is a little bit awkward. All right. So I can't leave it like this because I will hit the table when I go through. Plus I always have it at an angle. It's sitting in my lap and I have it pressing up against my stomach. So let me see if I can turn this a little bit so you can see a little bit more maybe. Or I can just maybe move this closer. I want you to be able to see me pushing it on my stomach. Okay, so I'm leaning it, pushing it against me. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to go around this thing here. So you always want to punch. I like to punch away from myself. I hold my needle. So again, this needle, the Smart Punch, is foolproof because your thumb is naturally going to fit in this groove, or mine, I tend to do mine right above it. Just whatever's comfortable for you. Okay. So by doing that, it makes the beveled side away from my hand. Okay. You want the beveled side away from your hand. I like to punch away from myself. A lot of people will punch this way. They'll go this way. I don't teach it that way. Again, you're going to find what works for you. I'm showing you how I do it, and then you can go from there. So I'm going to start here, and you're going to push all the way in until it won't go in anymore. I can't stress that enough, because in order to have all of your loops on the other side the same height, you have to push it all the way till it won't go in anymore every single time. As I'm pulling it out, I'm kind of leaning my needle away from me so that when it does come out, it just drags. Like I'm resting my hand on my frame, okay, on my stretcher bars. I'm resting my hand. So I have complete control over my hand. And it's more of a wrist thing. You're not using your whole arm to punch. You're not doing one of these things. It's more of a wrist action. So I pull it out, I pull it over just a couple and push it back down. So since that's a nice little tight swirl there, I am turning my frame and not my needle. So I'm going to turn it again. And as soon as I can, I will be cutting those. So I'm just going to pause here and cut that. What I'm cutting off are the threads that when I started, you know, I had some threads hanging off the needle when I started. I just don't like all that in my way. So I usually trim them as soon as I can. Another thing is to make sure you have this loose. You want to make sure that you have this like either up here on your piece. If you're going to be turning it a lot, it's going to be tricky at first. But I've had it where I had it on the couch and my cat was laying on it and I didn't realize it. And I'm like, why is this not punching? Well, because my cat was laying on it. Stuff like that. My hands sometimes will rest on it and then your punches will pull out like as soon as you put them in. So again, I'm trying to angle this so that you can see it. So I'm pulling it out. I'm sliding it over just ever so slightly. You don't have to count the threads. You'll get into a rhythm and you'll just know when to punch it back in. I'm coming out and just sliding it over. My needle never leaves the surface of my weaver's cloth. And kind of watch, because sometimes your thread will get twisted. Kind of watch every so often, because if it's all jumbled up right here and it goes down in there, it can make a knot and then you have to clip your thread and start over. Okay, so again, can you see what I'm doing? I'm going very slowly so that you can see it. I'm just going over a little bit. So you want to kind of be consistent too. And like I said, you're going to get into a rhythm. You want to be consistent as to how far over you go before you push it back in. Because if you go real far one time, as you go far, you're pulling that loop on the other side. You're making it shorter because it's pulling back. It's kind of hard to explain until you start doing it. If you've done punching before, you get it. You know what I'm talking about. But you want your loops consistent on the other side. So you want your punches also to be consistent. Also, I'm going in a straight line, like I am staying right on that line. You don't want to go zigzagging across. So I'm just turning my frame. But see how I have it leaning away from me as I'm punching, so that when it comes out, it just drags right across that fabric. It's never leaving the surface of the weaver's cloth. I know I said that before, but I got to repeat myself because it's so important. So you just continue. You continue either till your thread runs out or until you have to change a thread color. And I'll show you how to do all of that as well. See how my hand is kind of rocking back and forth? My hand never lifts off the weaver's cloth either. And then once you get moving, you can really start, once you get used to it, you can really start moving on it. So you notice when I first started, I had to turn my hoop a lot because this was a swirl. But you're not doing a lot of swirls normally. So, going in a straight line and just following these lines makes it pretty easy. So I'm running, as you can see, I'm going to be running out of my floss here in a little bit. And that's why you want it to be as long as possible without getting too tangled up around, things that are sitting around you. Because then you won't have to thread it as much. Now that's where talking about different threads comes into play. Okay, so this is the back side. This is your finished side. Can you see the difference? See how they're raised? I've got some, like, I ended some thread or ran out of some thread there, and I can see these little tails. I can just clip them off. No big deal. Also, when you're doing one line like this, or if you're doing, is the quality good? It's very hard to see how close are the punches. What if you go in the same hole? More than likely you're not going to go in the same hole because this is such a tight weave. I'm gonna do something right now. I think I left my phone on Wi-Fi, and I was just looking at my laptop, and I noticed it was kind of jumping around. I don't know. Hopefully it's not been doing that a lot, but I'm going to take it off Wi-Fi. So the screen's going to go black for a minute, but I'm coming right back. Okay. So don't panic. Just it'll take me just a couple seconds. Settings, Wi-Fi. That's why I'm giving you guys access to my punch needle tutorial, because I do show some really close-up videos. But when you're working with your phone, like on my camera, when I was filming the tutorial, I could actually zoom in closer, but I can't do that with my phone. That's why going live isn't necessarily the best thing. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, like I said, check out Vanna's tutorial. Check out other people's tutorials, because, you know, we all do it differently, and you might find something that they say that I didn't, or something. I'm trying to figure out what I can do differently so that you can see a different angle. I could have my son come over here and hold my camera. Let's see. That is not going to work. Yeah, I don't really know how to do it so that you'd be able to see. I'm probably making you sick doing all this moving around. Yeah, it's not ideal to do it with your phone. Let's try that for a second. Let's see if I can get a better angle. We'll try this, and if this doesn't work, like I said, that's why I'm giving you my, oh, and my other tutorial that I gave you the discount code for. Just keep in mind that it was filmed in 2019. Oh my gosh, yeah, the 1900s. No, it was filmed in 2019, and I really talk up the CTR. Well, the CTR is no longer, because Kristen retired and she couldn't sell the business, so they closed. And they don't, you know, they don't have anyone to manufacture that needle. So just know that as I'm talking about the CTR, that's all a moot point. Although you might be able to go online and find a CTR that someone might have still. That's always a possibility. Oh, I was going to say something else and it's gone. I have a lot more to go over, so don't you worry. All right, so again, I pulled my floss, so there's just a little bit left. I'm going to see if I can angle this a different way. Yeah, it's with my phone. You can't get detail with the phone. All right, so I'm going in, and again, I'm pushing my needle, not pushing it, but I'm kind of pulling it away from me as I go. So like, if you listen, I'm going to be real quiet, and I want you to listen. You can hear the needle dragging across the top of the fabric. Now listen. Okay, so now I got to the bird's beak and I don't want to go over his beak, so I want to cut this. So I'm going to pull my needle out and I'm going to put my fingernail on it. I pull that and then I just trim it. You don't have to knot it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to trim it. As you are punching, the fibers get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. So that's why things don't get pulled out. It's in there pretty snug already, but then, like I said, as you're filling in all of this color with floss, it's just getting tighter and tighter. So can you see what I'm doing when I do this? I'm going to try something. I'm going to turn my other light off now. I don't know. Live video. Oh, God. Okay. So again, listen for it to drag across. I'm going to have Kyle come over. He's still here. Kyle? Oh, I think he's outside. It's very awkward doing this in this fashion. Oh, here he comes. Hey, Kyle. Hey, can you help me for a second?
What's up?
It's live video, so you don't have to say anything if you want to, but I'm trying to get it so that they can see a really good close-up. So
hold the phone
yeah, but it's front angle. So you'll be able to see, it'll be showing here.
You sure?
Yeah, it's just delayed. So I want you to be able to zoom in.
Okay. Oh, but zoom in?
Like, well, no. Like, hold on. Do it like this way so you're not blocking the light.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's see if this is going to work. We're probably making people throw up. It's
probably.
jiggly. Try to get in as close as you can to my...
Can you spin a little bit?
Which way?
Just like that? A little bit like that?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah, absolutely. I can move wherever you want me
I
to.
can adjust a little bit more.
You're not showing it. Look at the camera. Or look at the screen. There you go.
It's delayed, though.
That's true.
You just moved over.
Okay. I'm going to go for it. Let's see.
Yeah, they can see.
How's that, guys? Can you see good? See how I'm pulling it out? My needle never leaves the surface of the fabric. I pull it over just a tiny bit and I push it back in. And then when I'm done, I just trim it off. All right.
Should we get closer?
That was good.
It's good?
I think that's good.
Okay. Well, let me know if not. We can get it closer.
Okay.
You can zoom in.
Thank you.
No problem.
They said, thanks, Kyle.
No problem.
All right.
Oh, she is over there.
Wait, I gotta hold on. I gotta flip you guys around. Oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. So when I put it in there, then it's upside down, so I have to turn it around. It's just so much a pain. All right, guys. I'm working from the back. Yep. So you are punching from the back, and then the front is the finished side where you can see all the pretty colors in the loops. I mean, I punch very tight. So as you can see, you can't see the weaver's cloth in between my rows. Now, keep this in mind. So when you're punching, the punches that you make on this side, the back side of the piece, they're tight to the fabric. Okay. When you flip it over, that's where all the loops are. That's what makes that pile and makes it look like a rug. Okay. So I've got three strands of floss there. So when it comes on this side, it poofs out. Okay. So on the back side where you're actually doing the work, it's flat to the surface. You flip it over, and this side, those fibers kind of poof out. So like this, some of these things look all messy, but as you punch around those pieces, then they get tight and they hold them in place. Okay. So I'm trying to think of all the different. It's one of those things that when you understand how the punch needle works, then it makes sense. It'll make sense to you. It's kind of just about doing it so that you understand how it works. Let's see. Oh, my t-shirt. I think it's in the secret shop, I want to say. You should teach Kyle and have him learn as you video him. You know what? Ryan used to punch needle. He never did finish his punch needle, but he did one of my smaller ones, and he would sit on the bed and we would watch TV and we would punch together. And that's the only reason he wanted to learn, is so he could sit with me and do that. Isn't that funny? Okay, so let's see. You're interested in trying Baldani 12 weight pearl cotton. Any tips? Yes. How many strands and which needle should I use? Okay. I think that's what I'll talk about next then, is the different floss and threads that you can use. I can't stand all these wild floss fabrics, threads and stuff. It drives me crazy. Okay. So again, on this side, I'm just going to trim off these little threads. I can't stand a mess on this side. Okay, so we have different floss. Let's get this other piece. Wow. If I do this. All right, I want to talk about floss. So I did a little research today just to give you a breakdown on the pricing of different threads that you can use. I always, like I said, when I started out, my earlier patterns were mostly Weeks Dye Works and DMC. And Baldani, the thing that's nice with Baldani is it's in a ball. Okay. If you use pearl cotton 8, size 8, you just have to use one. And you put it in there. Now this little bowl, I got this at Primitive Gatherings, and there's a hole where you can feed that through there. I don't bother. I don't take the time to do that because it's not going to come out of that anyways. So it will just roll around in here as I'm working. This is one of the reasons Baldani is so amazing to use for punch needle. Okay. So that is pearl cotton 8. Now, if you want to use pearl cotton 12, you have to use, unless you're using the Ultra Punch and you use the smallest needle, you could probably get away with using the 12, just one strand of the 12. But I discovered just recently at Primitive Gatherings, when I did their model for the retreat, that my punches were terrible using one strand of pearl cotton number 12. So I used pearl cotton number 12, but I used 2 strands of it. So in order to use 2 strands and still be able to have the benefit of it being in a ball so that you're not constantly cutting your thread and rethreading your needle, you take the inside. I wish there was a better way to do this. You take the inside out. You got to find the end. Because I was doing this at Primitive Gatherings, and I tested using 2 strands of pearl cotton. The other thing you can do is use the Valdani 3-strand cotton floss, not pearl cotton, which I also have that too. Let me go grab one. It's all about price. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Okay, so here is the Valdani 3-strand cotton floss. Hold on, I gotta find the end to this one. This is the part I don't like about using the Pearl Cotton 12. And you're thinking, well, why use the Pearl Cotton 12? Well, maybe you like the looks of the Pearl Cotton 12. We'll go over price too, and I can explain to you the difference. So let's just go over the price right now. So DMC has 8.7 yards. Okay. That is using all 6 strands, but we use 3 strands. So then you double the 8.7 yards and you get about 17 yards. Okay. A DMC skein is approximately, I mean, it varies, it varies greatly. But it's about 66 cents is about the price you're going to pay for a strand or for a skein of DMC. So that makes it 4 cents a yard. So that's pretty darn cheap, right? Okay. So that is the cheapest one. The second cheapest way to go is using the Valdani Pearl Cotton number 8. It has 73 yards and you only use 1 strand. So it's 8 cents a yard. And there's no reason you can't use it. I just don't like the look of the thicker floss. I just don't like the look of it. I would rather see this to me is ridiculous. There's got to be, does anybody know the secret to getting that inside strand, find the end on the inside of these Valdani balls? Yes, the third one that I did, I just found it. Anyways, okay. This is a nightmare. Of course, it's going to be horrible when I'm live. Right, Denise? We did this. She watched me do this when I was at Primitive Gatherings, and it wasn't this big of a nightmare. So anyway, basically, you would take the end of this one and the end of this one. So you've got a thread coming off the outside and a thread coming from the inside. You thread it just like you did with the 3-strand, and you punch away. And I did that because what I did while I was at Primitive Gatherings is I tested it. I tested doing 2 strands of number 12 versus the 1 strand using the cotton. They call it a 3-strand floss because it's thick. That's why they call it that. But you only have to use 1 if you're using their cotton. So the difference is price. So the price for this, let's see. Use 1 strand of the Valdani 3-strand floss, which is 100% cotton, not the pearl cotton. It's $3.90 a ball. You get 29 yards. Which equals 13 cents a yard. Okay. So we go from DMC, which is 4 cents a yard. It doubles if you use the Valdani Pearl Cotton 8, which is this. You can see how thick that is. Now I'm going to actually use this for my background. The thing is, I'm pretty sure Bonnie uses 6 strands for all her punch, like DMC 6 strands. So she would also like this because it's that thick. I like 3 strands or the 3-strand Valdani or the 2-strand number 12. I like that better because I like smaller loops. I like a more delicate look to mine. Again, you're going to find what you like best. So the second less expensive one compared to DMC is going to be this, your Pearl Cotton number 8. Okay. The next less expensive one is the Valdani 2 strands, the Pearl Cotton number 12, but using 2 strands. That is 11 cents a yard. 13 cents a yard if you use the Valdani 3-strand which is nice because you don't have to deal with all of this, right? Because that, as you noticed, was a total pain in the butt. So my recommendation would be the Valdani 3-strand cotton. Oh, and then I forgot to mention Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works. They're about $255 a skein. You get 10 yards on a skein. We use 3 strands. So it costs about 26 cents a yard. So it's the most expensive, Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works. Plus, you have to separate them and cut them. You know, and in Classic Color Works, I don't know anybody that has used it for punch needle because theirs is, it's cut for cross stitchers. What is it, 18-inch cuts or something like that? So you would be re-threading your needle quite a bit. I don't think I've ever used Classic Color Works for punch needle. So that's the downfall of that. But I use a ton of Weeks, like I said. So these would be my choices, would be the Pearl Cotton number 8 for like a background where you want to fill in that background quickly and you don't have any fine detail. And then for all your little icons and all, like the bird and the vine and the leaves and stuff, use Weeks Dye Works or the Valdani 3-strand cotton. Okay, so I just gave you the lowdown. I will probably type up these notes and have that available for you. So I want to talk. So what I'm going to do on my piece now is I'm going to do a little bit of the background using this Valdani number 8 Pearl Cotton. Okay, I'm going to put it in here. I take this, put it aside, put it in my thread bed. All right, let me just pause here and see about any questions that you guys might have. I feel like, so Christine said, I feel like it's about the price you are willing to pay versus how you want it to look for me. Yeah. It's exactly the way it will be for us. Glad to know it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the master either. All right. Yes, the thread does behave. Click the third link. Yes. So Gail, that code, so if you click on that third link that I gave you, you'll be able to get my tutorial, my punch needle tutorial that I filmed back in 2019 for free. And the video quality is better because it was with my camera and not my phone, and it was not live. So there's not a lot of, you know, things going wrong because I could edit that out. Okay. And to be honest, I'm probably going to, no, I know I'm going to, I just don't know when I'm going to have time to do it. I am going to redo my punch needle tutorial because I talk so much about the CTR, and the CTR, you can't get it anymore. So I need to redo it using the Smart Punch, you know, or the, you know, and show the Ultra Punch as well. I do show the Ultra Punch though on my tutorial. But basically, it's all the same. No matter what needle you use, they all thread the same, and your technique is still the same, no matter what needle you use. So, all right, so I'm going to try this number 8 Pearl Cotton Valdani ball, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to punch around the pumpkin and just kind of do a little bit so you can see. Or maybe I'll punch all the way around and make my circle. I don't know. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is when you are going to punch next to another color. So for the most part, you hold your needle pretty much up and down, but when you are going next to a color, you want to make sure that the beveled side of your needle is facing away from the color you're about to punch next to. Because if you punch, if I turn this around and I punch this way, my needle, it's slanted a little bit. it's slanted enough that it will come in on the other side and get all tangled with these other threads that I already have punched. So if you punch away from it, it should keep them separated. So let's just do that. Wow, it looks like the quality is crappy all of a sudden. Let me know, guys. Is the quality still good? Also, you know, when you flip your piece over, if you see weaver's cloth in between a couple rows, like if you have a row here and then you have a row here, but you can see some of weaver's cloth in there, it's not a big deal. Flip your piece back over and just fill in that color. It's very forgiving. It's not like doing cross stitch where you have to frog it if it's not, you know, just right. It's very, very forgiving. So that is how you punch next to another color. Let me see some of my other notes here. So when you first start your punch needle, you might think, oh, gal, you know, where do I start? I usually start on all of the little icons. All, you know, the pumpkin, the stem, I'm gonna do the bird, I'm gonna do all that, and then I'm gonna do the background. The backgrounds normally last, but I just wanted to do the background, a little bit of it at least, just to show you how this punches and how it looks, okay? That's the only reason I'm doing that. But for the most part, it's all the things in the center, working your way out and then finishing up with the background. So I'm kind of going against the grain here, just because for this piece, the Pearl Cotton number 8, the only one I'm using is for the background. Okay. So now I'm just going to go back the way I came, because I want to flip this. I got to get enough of it done to really make an impact. And then I'm going to flip it over and show you what it looks like. So again, let me just repeat. My hand is resting on my project. See how my wrist is rocking back and forth? My hand never leaves the surface of the fabric, neither does my needle. My needle is merely sliding over just a little bit and punching back in. Just do a little bit here. And see how that ball just spins around in there? This pearl cotton is beautiful. It might take punching quite a bit of it to actually get it to look so you can see all the colors, but it has a lot of, this is, I don't know, can you see the detail in that color? There's like blues and browns. It is 0531. So it kind of comes off as being black, but there's several different colors in there. I'm just going to go a little bit further, and then I'm going to trim this and show you what it looks like on the other side. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. That color is beautiful. Hopefully you can see that really good. Yeah, so I said earlier, and it bears repeating, that this single line for this vine, whenever you have a single line, whether it's a vine or it's words or it's numbers, you want to make sure that you punch that. I mean, my stuff is always punched pretty tight anyways, but you don't want gaps. I see I have like a little gap right there in between those two. So I might have to go in with like 2 punches and fill that in once the background and everything's done. The lighting is really bad right now. I wish you could see better. What else? Oh yeah, so like punching an eye. So this bird, what I will do is I will punch the white part of his eye, and then when I'm done with that, I'll take and just do 1 punch for the dark pupil of his eye. And then you know how you punch it and then you put your fingernail on it and you pull that and then you trim it tight. That's what you want to do for just like all these little dots on him, on his breast as well. It's just going to be 1 punch, but you're going to punch the whole thing in, fill it all in first. And then, so when you do that, you're not going to be able to see where these holes are. That's where, again, the cover photo helps, because then you can just kind of eyeball where you're going to put all those little dots. So that's another tip. Let's see what else. Yep, I punch up and away from my body. Yep, I talked about that. Yep, turn your project, don't turn your needle. Always turn your project. If you don't like how something looks, you just rip it out. So let me just show you how that works. So let's say that was the wrong color, or you don't like how it looks. You just take this and you pull it like that. And if it's a long piece, you can reuse it. This is too short, obviously, but if it's a long piece, you can reuse it. And then I just take my fingernail and do this just to get the fibers to, you know, line back up so there's no holes there. Not a problem. That's how you do that. Okay, so some troubleshooting things, and then I'm going to show you some finishing. I'm going to show you a bunch and like a ton of really pretty things. I have a bunch of things, finishing ideas and all that jazz. I'm brand new to Punchneedle, and I thought it was going to be so difficult, but it seems pretty straightforward. It seems intimidating at first, yes, but it's really, I mean, it's easier than cross stitch, I think. But and you don't have to have like super great vision to be able to do it. So that's what's nice too. It's something, I mean, I can do this in the car. I can't cross stitch in the car because I can't see well enough to do it. Let's see. So if you, in my tutorial that I gave you the code for, so you can get it for free, I show you how to do something that I don't know that I have any on here. And even if I did have some on here, you're not going to be able to see it anyways. But when you flip your piece over, let's say some of that black got tangled up like in the wrong place on this side, you can manipulate those threads. You can pull threads and you can use the tip of your needle to move some threads around. You can kind of use your needle to put things in place where they belong. And I show that in my tutorial. That's a great tip. That's something I didn't do until, I didn't think about doing that till like years after I had been doing Punchneedle. What else? As you are punching and filling in. So like I said, as you're punching, things get tighter and tighter. So as I start filling all this in, my circle might get a little bit wonky. Well, what I'll do is then just go and just kind of redraw it, or I will take this, you know, I'll cut it perfectly in a perfect circle, and then I can use that to kind of guide my circle. But it's really obvious when you are punching something in a rectangle, because it can get real skewed. Like your lines might go like this. Let's just say, for instance, so here's your line and it might go like this or like this. And because it's just, It's just the way it works. So what I do is I either get I have a triangle, or I use one of my quilt thingies here, and then I would just line that up and then just redraw my line. And I usually draw it like several times so it's darker, so I know which one to follow. And then I would just go like that and then say, okay, this is what I need to punch on. Because it's gonna, especially on a bigger piece. If you're doing smaller pieces, it doesn't happen. But if you're doing a big rectangle piece, it will get all off kilter. Okay. I think that's it as far as, let's take a pause and see if there's any questions. Let me know if you have any questions, because after this part, I'm going to show you some finishes, show you some ideas on what you can do with your finishes. I'm always trying to think of outside the box and think of different things. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Any questions? All right, well, I don't see any questions right now, so I'm going to just grab some. I'm going to show you the biggest punch needle I ever did. I just had this piece at Solder Village. Solder Village is a rug hooking show that is very popular. It's in Ohio. It's about 2.5 hours from us. Kevin and I went there Saturday, and I put this piece in the show because I'm teaching punch needle there next year. Yes, you can take my class live if you want to. If you live in Ohio, come see me. But I'm going to be a vendor as well. But I put this piece in there. When I do my next floss tube, you guys are going to see so much eye candy. But this is punch needle. This is huge. The biggest piece I've ever done. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would love to do more large pieces like this. So much fun. Loved it. I did want to show you these. Now you can watch this video on my floss tube channel. I did some tests. So this top one, the snowman, the stars, all of that was, I might take photos of these and show them in Patreon. It might be easier. But this was punched with one strand. I was testing 1 strand, 6 strand, and 3 strand and doing a comparison. Well, it took me so long. It took me 6 hours to do this one, only because the 1 strand, if you think about it, you're punching 3 times as many punches as you would if you had 3 strands in there, because it takes that much more to fill it in. So I don't understand why anyone would want to punch with 1 strand, unless you were doing some super delicate features on a face. Maybe you would use 1 strand for the eyes, but then use 3 strands for the rest, something like that I could see. But for what most purposes for punch needle, you're not going to want to use 1 strand. This one was done with 3 strand. This one was done with 6 strands. And not only that, but I changed the depth of the, I used the, I think I did like a 1 and a 2. I probably used a CTR, and what I did, they had gauges, but that's a whole different story. It doesn't matter because they don't make the CTR. But if you want to do different depths, I don't know that you can tell here on this video, but the stars, the hat, the snowman, and his arms, they're all punched with longer loops than the background, so that there's a little depth there. I don't know if you can tell, but it's so sweet. Super finish, super easy finish. Just a couple pieces of sticky board and just put some trims around it and a little bow. Super cute. So those are those. I'm going to show you some finishes that, like, this is just a plaque. You can get these at Joann. You could probably get them at Hobby Lobby. I don't know. I usually go to Joann for them because it's closer to my house. But these just square plaques. And yeah, I just painted the background a gray, taupey color, black around the sides, and then I sanded it, and that's it. So that's what I forgot to show you. So when I'm done with my punch needle, let me just show you that little trick. Okay, so when I am done with my punch needle, as you can tell, I used this for a tutorial before. So this guy's all done. What I do is I always iron mine. I take my iron and I steam it, and I just hold it. I have a wool mat that I use for my ironing, cross stitch, and my punch needle. And what the wool mat does is it, well, especially for cross stitch, it doesn't flatten your stitches out too bad. But anyways, I use that just because I don't want an ironing board down here. I don't have anywhere to store it. A wool mat, I can just grab it. It's easy. Anyways, so I just steam it, press it, steam it, and I do that all the way across. I might hold it for, I don't know, 5 seconds in each spot, and it flattens it real nice, gets your loops all nice and flat. And then I just cut. It looks like I cut that with a child's scissors. I cut, not leaving, I just leave maybe a 1/2 inch around the edge. Okay. Cut that all 4 sides. Then I use hot glue. So just pretend this is all cut. I use hot glue, put a little dot there, do that, a little dot there, a little dot there and there, do all my 4 corners. And then I run a bead across here, and then I fold this over. And I use hot glue because it's fast. I used to use fabric glue, which I'm pretty sure that's what I was using when in 2019 when I did my tutorial. But hot glue is so much quicker, and so that's what I use now. Then, once I have that done, I use a black marker, or if I have a brown marker, that if I have any kind of permanent marker that's close to the color of the last row of threads, I then color that. I color just the weaver's cloth, just on the edge. I don't color all this because that's not going to show. But I don't want, so if you look, if I didn't color that, you can see, I don't know, maybe you can't see. I don't know how clear this is going to show. But I colored that weaver's cloth black. Had I not, that white weaver's cloth would show right there, and it would look terrible. I don't know if you can see that. It shows really great here. I think you can see it. So yeah, that's what I do. And then I hot glue it to my piece. Now, what I've been doing lately, because sometimes the hot glue tends to be more bulky around the edge than if you use a fabric glue. And this was an older one. So this was probably done with fabric glue. So it's pretty flat. But what I've been doing lately is, for instance, on the one I just finished for my new release, okay, what I did for this one is, after I get my hot glue around the edges, I cut a piece of sticky board that maybe is inside of this, like leave about a 1/2 inch all the way around. I cut a piece of sticky board that's, like an inch smaller in both, directions. And then I adhere the sticky board to this so that it doesn't dip in the center. Does that make sense? And as you can see, this looks really good. It's really nice and flat. Okay, some more finishes. This one here, I don't even sell this pattern anymore. But when I first did punch needle, I framed them under glass, and I just don't know why I ever did that. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because I want you to think outside the box for your finishing. So this is a frame that I painted like a buttery yellow. Then I painted just this little green border. Then the inside of the frame here, I painted it pink. And then the mat board that I put the piece on, I painted that same color pink. And it just looks so cool with those 3 different colors for this piece. So, you know, this size, you could knock that out in an evening. I mean, it's so fast, and something that small, so easy. Here's another one that I did. So that one I just put it into a frame. That one I just taped that on the back because it was going to be framed. I didn't even finish the back of the frame, but I love how it fits perfectly in that frame. That was luck. That was luck right there. It doesn't always work that way. This is a newer piece of mine. And this I got at Hobby Lobby. If you go there when they're having 50% off their frames. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a glass frame in there. Yeah. This was made for, you know, like a picture frame. But it looks great with this piece. Again, I hot glue things on. Here's another piece. I painted this. Painted the back of it black so that the piece would kind of pop on there. And I love how this is scalloped and it kind of echoes the round part of that. This is an oldie but goodie. I wish that was black beneath the stars, but I love this piece. I love it, and I have it in cross stitch too. I love it. I love stars. Okay, let me show you some more. My older pieces are much smaller. I need to get back into doing smaller pieces. I love these bigger ones though, but they take a lot of time. I see a lot of little threads I didn't trim. I didn't have it under the good light. I have it under now, I guess. Anyway, so these 2, I think they're beautiful. The thing I love about Punchneedle is how rich the colors are because they are so condensed, you know, and packed in there. It makes them so pretty. Now I'm going to show you some antique pieces. Like when I'm out antiquing, I'm always looking for ideas. So this is one of those little child's dustpan. This was not a good seller, but I think it's so prim and fun, but did not sell well for us at all. I love this piece, and I have a couple more of these, but I just think that looks really cool on there, and I just added that star. And then this one I wanted to show you. So when you're punching your background, I have another piece I want to show you. I don't have the actual piece because I think I might have gave it away. You know, some of my Punchneedle models I've given them as gifts. I've sold some, you know, so I don't have them all. But so this background is swamp water. So swamp water, it looks to me like it's changed a lot over the years. It looks mostly brown now, but it used to have black streaks going through it. Bye.
Mom, love you.
Love you too. Have a good night, honey.
Yeah.
So in order to make the background interesting on this Punchneedle, I just punched it in a swirl. So if you have a variegated floss, it's always nice, especially to use it for a background. So let's say you bought a Punchneedle pattern and it called for just a regular DMC color for the background, and you think, oh, I want something a little more interesting. Get something that's heavily variegated and then do designs, you know. That's an example. And then like on this piece, which I love on this cast iron, I'm always trying to find these small square cast iron pans and I can't find them. Anyways, so this one, the stars and then the outline of him was black. And then I used swamp water again for the background. And it just creates such a cool look, doesn't it? I really wish the lighting was better for y'all. I'm so sorry. And then my favorite finishes, as you guys probably know, are on the books. I love the books. One of the main reasons I love them on the books is it's really fun, easy way to finish for one. But also, they can stand up. They create their own, it's like a flat fold, basically. It creates its own easel so that it can stand. They're inexpensive and they just look cool. So this is new for me. This one is in the Punchneedle Primitive Stitcher magazine for this fall. So yay! That was a big one. I really need to get back into my smaller ones like this. Yeah, check this book out. It's so tiny. So look, $2. So when I did my finishing on books class for the Jingle Ball last year, we went heavily into books and how to find books. Well, go antiquing. I wouldn't spend more than 5, like 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are about average. The only reason I would spend more than that, like I've spent 8, I've spent up to 8. I think I might have even spent 10 on a couple, but they have to be a super unique color or a specific size I'm looking for, or a very unique book. Like I've only found one book where it's a top, it's this, but it's a top fold or a top, it's bound. What do you call it? The binding on the book is at the top. And I probably spent a little extra on that one, but yeah, like this is $2. Here's another one. See if there's a price in here. No, but they just look super cool. Here's another one. No, it doesn't have it on this. I don't know if that's going to show up. Probably not. I don't know if you can see that background, but that background is awesome. It's got blue and black in it. It looks amazing. Here's another book. And here's another book. Some of them will still have the prices in them, but no, not this one. Not these. Any other questions? A good pattern for a beginner. That is an amazing question. Something small and something without words or a lot of detail. So, for instance, that snowman one I was doing, this one is small. It would be quick. There's not a ton of detail, and the eye and then the mouth parts would just be one punch. After you punch all his face, it's just one punch, and then you cut it and do the next punch and cut it. Yep. So this would be a good one to start. This one, well, I say this one's a good one if you like really prim stuff, but it's in a book that has several different ones in it. You can't get that one separate. This would be, oh, I think I retired this one though. But if you go to my Etsy shop and just pull up all my Punchneedle, find something that is, like I said, smaller. I wouldn't go more than like 5x5, 4x4, something like that. And then something without a lot of detail. This would be a good one. There's not a lot of fine detail in this, and it's very prim. I love it. Let's see. Thank you, Pam. My friend uses iron-on facing that will adhere the backing to her pieces. It works pretty well. I love thrifting frames and backing pieces. Iron-on, oh, like interfacing? Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could use interfacing on the back of your pieces if you, that's, you know, I've seen where people have put punch needle on like a back of a jean jacket or the pocket of a jean jacket or something like that. If you were going to do something like that, you definitely would want to put, isn't it called interfacing? Yeah, that you heat. Like I put it on all my cross stitch before I make pillows. I'm terrible with names of things, but and that would help hold all your stitches in place, because if you're using it on a piece of clothing that you're going to be wearing, you don't want it to snag and pull your loops out. So yeah, I can see doing that for sure. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Would you recommend using fusible on the back to keep the stitches from coming out? Oh, we just talked about that. Is it fusible or interfacing? Why can't I never remember the difference between those? Is fusible interfacing? Is that the same thing? Lord Kumbaya. Oh, I have it over here. But yeah, you can do that. If you're just putting it on a regular, you know, like a book for display, no, you don't need it at all. This is the interfacing I use. Yeah. Pellon. Well, these two are different, but I used to just use the fusible Pellon interfacing. Yep. I use that for my cross stitch, like I said, before I make them into pillows, because, you know, you're like really working that to turn the pillow inside out, and I don't want to pull my stitches out. Well, if you're just putting it on a book and you're displaying it, I wouldn't worry about putting interfacing on at all. If you're making it into a pillow and you're going to be turning it, yes, use interfacing. Or if you're going to be putting on something that you're going to be wearing, I would say, yes, use interfacing. Here's another piece that I did. You know, like again, think outside the box. This is another wood piece from Joann. And, you know, I usually have these wood pieces just on, you know, in my studio, because when I go to finish something, I usually just go, I don't go out to go shopping to do it, because I don't have that kind of time. I like to just have things on hand, and I try to use something I already have here in the studio. So I usually have a nice selection of wood pieces, and I have tons of books. I mean, I'm looking at about 30 books right in front of me, all stacked, you know, like they would be on a bookshelf. Yeah, so this one just, you know, I hot glue the trim on there, and I hot glued that on, and I hot glued that on. Hot glue is my friend. Anything else? Anything else? Thank you, everybody. Denise said, bye, Kyle. Oh, wait. What color approximately would you use for a snowman instead of white? Or use white? Let's see. What was on that one I showed you? I don't think this was white. This was fawn. 1111, I think, is fawn of weeks. 3866. DMC 3866. Grits. Week Styworks grits. Yeah, you don't have to use white. I don't like stark white either. You know, you can look. This is quite a bit more bright white than this hen. But if you're just looking at the hen and not that dog, it looks like white. Let's see, what else do we have? Would you recommend using, okay, yeah. I think that was about it. Pellon 101 would be good. SF 101. What do I have? See, I don't know it. I don't know all the stuff well enough. So what is the difference between, like what you said, would you say? SF 101? What's the difference between that and ES 114 and all, you know what I mean? I'm going to write down the SF 101. 101. Yay! Cindy said, thank you for being so generous with your time tonight. I learned a lot and I'm closer to trying Punchneedle. That's so awesome. So let me just, oh yeah, For You would be another good one, another good pattern. Oh, see, I have a lot of my Punchneedle packed up for the trunk show that I'll be taking to Primitive Gatherings. So I don't have, obviously, everything out. No one can have everything out. I have so much Punchneedle, you guys. It's a little bit insane. Oh, shoot. What were we talking about? Okay, For You. Yes. Doggone it. I was going to say something else and I lost it. Boy. One here 1 second, gone the next. I mean, geez. Oh, and I was going to say, don't get discouraged when you first start, please. My mom, she started doing Punchneedle and she was very frustrated. She quit doing it for a while, and then when she came back to it, she did much better with it. So don't get really discouraged. I do want to, real quick, because I said I would, and I kind of forgot about it, but I said I would show you kind of how I sit to do my Punchneedle and like my posture, like how I like to hold my arms and not my arms, but my one arm. Anyway, let me just get the lighting and all that switched around real quick, and then I'm going to put, geez, we'll be done here shortly, guys. Let me get my Punchneedle stuff. All right, I'm going to take you off the thingy. Sorry, you're going to be looking at my hand for a second. Hello, friends. All righty. So, where is my Punchneedle? Right here. You be able to see me? I don't know if this is me. I don't know. I need to lean this a little bit more. Oh, gosh. Oh, you guys, I'm trying. Okay. See, when you pre-record things, you can edit it and cut things out as you're switching around. It's way better than doing it this way. Okay. So just real quick before we go tonight. So I'm usually sitting. I have my Punchneedle kind of in my gut, in my muffin top there. And again, turn your project, not your needle. You're not going to be able to see me punching, but you're going to be able to see how I hold my arm. So my elbow is tight to my body. It's not like I'm pushing it against my body, but it's resting next to my body. I don't have it out here because then you're going to have shoulder problems. I just have it in a natural position next to my body. Then I have this lifted up, kind of, not shoving it into my gut, but I have it rested here. And then I have my hand that's holding the Punchneedle is resting on my frame. And I never lift my hand off and I never lift my needle off. And I'm just following that line. And like I said, again, you're going to pull it out, slide it, just you can kind of hear it. You know, maybe when you first start to do punch needle, don't have the radio or the TV or a bunch of things going on so that you can kind of, you'll hear it dragging across. You're just going over, it's maybe what, a 1/16 of an inch? I don't know. It's just a tiny little bit. You're not measuring it. You basically get into a groove, into a rhythm, and you'll know. And another thing you can do is before you start punching on your piece, do some practice runs right here, you know, on the side of your piece, and then pull it out. And then, you know, do it again in a different area and practice a little bit before you actually start on your piece. See how I'm doing that? And I'm punching up and away from myself. And then again, I want to stop. I pull that, but I got to hold it with my other feet. Because if I don't hold that and I pull my needle, I'm going to pull out all my loops. So you hold it with your nail, you pull that out a little bit, and then you just trim it. Flush to the surface of the weaver's cloth. And I trimmed this off too because I don't like all that mess. And there you go. So what I worked on is I just in that little bit of time, I did that whole line right there. But yeah, this is going to be cute when it's done. All right, friends. I think it is time to end. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yes, there is a code. Let me, where's that piece of paper? What was it again though? I gotta look now. Oh, I got a big mess to clean up, you guys. Right here, Whimsy's Punch. I gotta write this down. Okay, this isn't right either now. So this is a forever coupon. Only available to my Whimsies. So the tutorial is $37, but you're going to get it for free. You go right here, gatherdreamcreate.com/punchtoot. And then for the coupon code, when you get there at the right hand column, it'll say coupon code. You're going to put in Whimsy's Punch. And you will get that for free. It is pretty thorough. Again, I talk a lot about the CTR, which is that is no longer available, but they all thread the same. All the same rules apply no matter what needle you're using. It's all about finding the needle that fits your hand the best, that's the most comfortable for you. So the Ultra Punch and the Smart Punch are the two I would recommend. All right, I think that's it, guys. Oh my gosh, this was fun. This was fun. Maybe let's give it a couple of weeks. I want you all to have time to, hopefully you already have your supplies, and I want you to have time to play around with it and, you know, work on a piece. But what I want to do is, this light is blinding me. I would really like to come back in a couple of weeks and just talk. You know, maybe we'll just do a Whimsy Live and chat, but we'll talk a lot about Punch Needle. If you guys have any questions that way, if you're struggling with anything, let me know. Let me think. we are going to Missouri. Yeah, so in 2 weeks it'll work. I will be back and we can do a live video. Probably do it on a Tuesday again. Tuesday seems to be a great night because I know Wednesdays, I was doing it Wednesday a long time ago and people were like, oh, I go to church on Wednesdays or I have Bible study on Wednesdays. And so I'm like, okay, Tuesdays works for me. And a lot of times Kevin and I have band practice on Tuesdays. So not this coming Tuesday, not a week from now, but 2 weeks from now, we'll come back and we'll do another live and chit chat, but also talk a lot about Punchneedle. Write down any questions that you might have. If you're really struggling and you really don't want to wait 2 weeks, you can always message me in Patreon. I check my messages there every day. So, all right. Thank you, lovely people, for joining me tonight, my beautiful whimsies. I so appreciate you being here when you could be doing a million other things, but I really hope that this was thorough. I apologize for the lighting and the lack of being able to see. That's the problem with doing things live, but that's why I'm giving you the Punchneedle class for free, because I want you to be able to see some things in there, you know, a closer look at it. So anyways, again, thanks for being here. Love you guys. See you in a couple weeks. Bye.